Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Well, we've heard all sorts of, there are all sorts of, they say the nags are tough to figure. And you look at all the possibilities. What starting gate are they coming
Yeah, yeah.
from and who the jockey is? And then you look at past performance. And Nikki Hale was just asking, why do they show career earnings? Is that some indication of how good the horse is? They're all 3-year-olds. And, when you start to put this formula together, are they closers? Do they come out of the gate hot? All that. What are the track conditions like and so forth? What is your secret formula for figuring it all out?
Yeah, so at predictiform.com, or if some people might be more familiar with my sports site, predictionmachine.com, there's plenty of links from there, and that's probably easier to spell for a lot of people as well. We run both of those sites, and it's a similar approach on each of the sites, where with Predictiform, our most important thing is to put pace and speed into apples-to-apples format. So we try to remove the bias from previous track conditions, from previous opponents and starting gates and jockeys, and just try to figure out how fast these horses are compared to all of the other horses in the country. And I think what's interesting about that is that when you start to put things into perspective, a lot of people, especially for this Kentucky Derby, who think that California Chrome is a clear favorite, it's not quite as obvious when you compare those numbers across the board for all of the horses. So that's kind of step one with Predictiform, and is understanding pace as it relates to all of the other kind of horses that could be running against, and removing bias that's in the numbers. That's critical to us for just about anything we handle from an analysis standpoint. But the next step to that, and I think what's really key for us with what we do at Predictiform, is then understanding how the pace relates to how the horse is likely to expend energy and progress or regress in its next race. I'll give you a good example of this. Danza, which was a horse that we liked going into the Arkansas Derby, ultimately went off at 40-1, is our current favorite horse, not just from a value standpoint at somewhere in the 8-1, 10-1 ratio area, but it's more actually our horse that's most likely to win the race, period. And the reason for that, one of the reasons for it at least, is that for the first time in its entire career, it ran a second half of the race that was faster than the first half of the race in that Arkansas Derby, despite going from 7 furlongs to 9 furlongs. At that point, we think that if it can do that and had energy left at 9 furlongs, when it goes to 10 for the first time, like all of these other 3-year-olds are going to be doing at the Kentucky Derby, it might have the energy, and likely have the energy, to win this race.
And that's the interesting point too that you make, that the races are different lengths too. So
Yeah.
it's not very simple to figure it out. And then, as you mentioned too, the odds at 8-1 now, morning line for Danza with Joe Bravo aboard. The fact of the matter is, if you want to make some money betting horses, you have to take some chances,
Mhm.
because the chalk bet, as they say, isn't going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when it comes to Kentucky Derby, this is a lot like the Super Bowl or March Madness. The public weighs in from a wagering standpoint more than at any other time throughout the year throughout that sport, and to an exponential degree, that's the case. And when you see that, generally the public's going to throw its money at crazy long shots or the favorite. And so generally there isn't a whole lot of value in either of those things. So